Okay, so we are going to call this one generic face measurements, okay, because now we're getting into our portrait part of the class. So we're going to first talk about how to just draw a face and measure it with some generic measurements. So you're going to follow along. Obviously, pause this if you need to. I'll try and take my time between steps. So first thing that we're going to start with is you have your pencil and you're in your sketchbook, right? And your sketchbook is vertically placed. See, my binding is on the left-hand side, so it's like tall ways or portrait, okay? So the first thing that you're going to want to do is we're going to try and sketch out a circle. Not too big, not too small. Okay, it's going to be a nice circle. So here's what it looks like in comparison to my whole page. Okay, so not too big, not too small. Okay, you have your circle, and now what we're going to do is we're going to divide it in half, horizontally and vertically. So watch how we do that. I'm going to have to kind of turn my sketchbook a little bit. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to say maybe this is the middle of my circle. So how do I know if I'm right? So I'm going to come back to my pencil, and we're going to use my pencil to help measure. Okay, so the tip of my pencil is here, and my thumb is going to grab it right down here at the bottom of my circle. And what I'm going to do with that measurement is I'm going to take it, I'm going to compare it to this up here. So watch how I'm going to do that. So I take it, and then I put my finger there on that previous measurement, and see the tip of my pencil is right up here at the top of my circle. So I got lucky, I guessed right. Okay, but maybe you put your line not in the right spot, and that's okay. So let's just see what this would happen. So here's a different measurement. And then look, see it's all the way up there? So then you would have to adjust and erase and try it again. Okay, so let me do it again for you. So I guessed where it was, I get my measurement, and then I match it up here. I'm a little bit above, I'm not right on it, it's not the end of the world, it's pretty close. As long as you're close and you're not like completely off like I previously was on that practice one. Okay, so that line, so instead of drawing just like a completely straight line, what we want to do is try to give it like a little bit of a curve, because our face is round, it's a form. So I'm going to take that line and give it just like a gentle curve. And technically, if you wanted to be even more accurate, technically you could take that line and see how I'm pulling a curve in the back. So it's like its own little oval or ellipse, because this is like the back of the head, and then I come around to the front of the head. It just kind of helps with that curve. But I'm actually going to go ahead and erase that back line because I don't want it to get confused with some other things we're going to do. Okay. So now I have that middle line. So now what I want to do is I want to divide it vertically in half. So again, I'm going to kind of look with my eye and guess where's the middle of my circle. I'm going to go here, let's say. And so again, I'm going to measure. I'm going to take the tip of my pencil is here. My finger is grabbing on this side of the circle. And then I'm going to move it and compare to the other side. So see how I match my finger there? And it hits the other edge of my circle. I was pretty close. Again, if you're like super off, erase and fix it. And then sometimes what you have to do is kind of clean up the sides of your circle a little bit better. And then go ahead and extend that line a little bit. Now it kind of looks like a big target, or a big plus sign, I guess. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start drawing in our eyes, nose, and mouth. And so this line that we drew right here is where our eyes are going to sit. And you're going to say, eyes should be all the way up here. Oh, like this. But that's not right. If we were to look at ourselves, our eyes are really in the middle of our head, and because this is going to be like our forehead and our hair. So don't worry about this. We'll fill it all in. So everybody's circle is probably different from now than mine. That's okay. So now we're going to try to figure out the size of our eyes for this circle. Okay, everybody's are going to be probably a little bit different. So we follow a rule called 5 eyes wide. Okay, so if you were to take your 2 fingers and put them on the corners of your eye and measure them across, it would be 5 eyes wide. Obviously, we can't do that because you can't see my face right now, but maybe I'll kind of show you in class. Okay, so how do I do this? So I'm going to make 2 little marks for the width of one of my eyes. So I need to guess how big it is and where it is on this line. So I'm going to say maybe my eye sits here. Okay? So how do I know if that's right? So I need to take this and measure it out 5 times. So right now it's 1 measurement here. So watch how I do this. I have the tip of my pencil here and my thumb, I don't know if you can see, but my thumb is then grabbing or holding it right there, that other little mark. So see where my thumb is and that other little mark, and then my tip of my pencil is right here. So see that a little bit, I'm trying to kind of get it. So now I'm going to take that measurement and move it across. Okay, so I take that measurement and I'm going to connect my thumb to that previous little mark, make a mark. Connect, make a mark, connect, make a mark. Gotta turn it. Connect, make a mark. All right, so I know I went fast, but I'm gonna do it again. So here I have, so let me count. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And see my 5th mark is all the way out here. And then see this spacing here and here just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem equal. So I know that I probably made this guy too big, or maybe he was just too far over. So let's do that again. And more than likely, you'll have to do this a couple times to get it. So let's do it again. Okay, so let's try and move this mark here, and maybe about there. So let's try it again. So get my measurement on my pencil, connect it, move it across. So there's 1. Connect it, move it across. There's 2. See how I'm connecting that previous mark? 3. And I have to turn my sketchbook. So here's my eye measurement. And see how I connect and make my mark. All right, so now what I get is I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So there's a little bit left over here, but that's okay. I can trim my circle. It's not the end of the world. It's not as far off as it was over here earlier. As long as it's somewhat close, and then this spacing is relatively even or the same. So what I did is I took that measurement, I grab it on my pencil here with that mark and this mark, and I move it across. Connect, move it across. All right, so then after you get your spaces that are 5 eyes wide, then right now we're just going to draw in a generic shape, and it's laying on top of that line. And then my next eye is over here between these 2 marks. And then I have my circle for my iris, my pupil, maybe give another line for your eyelid. There's another small circle for the pupil. And we'll go more into like the shapes of the eyes later on. But see how they're resting on that line, okay? They're not like sagging below it, okay? That's a no-no. Okay, so there's our eyes. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm still hanging out with this measurement. This is an important measurement here. So now what I'm gonna do with that measurement is see how I position my sketchbook, and I'm gonna grab it again. So the tip of it's there, and then my thumb is grabbing it here. And now what I'm gonna do is my thumb is gonna start here at this little target area, and it's gonna go down the face, and watch. So I start it here at that target, and I make a mark. So there's 1, and then watch, I'm gonna connect, 2, connect, 3. Okay, so I took this measurement of my eye. That's very important. I start it here at my target, and I go down 1, connect it, 2, connect it, and then 3. Just go down 3. Okay. So now we're going to use that. So now this line right here, this first little mark right here, again, draw a little gentle curve. This is going to be where our nose is. Okay? That first little mark down is going to be where our nose is. So now we need to know how wide is our nose. So again, if we were able to do this in person in class, I would show you like on our faces, but we can't. So what we're going to do is usually most noses are they're about as wide as an eye. Okay, sometimes a little wider, sometimes a little thinner, but again, this is just generic. So I'm going to draw lines, guidelines down from those inside marks. So from here goes down, from here goes down. So that's about as wide as our nose is going to be. Okay, and so our nose is going to rest on this little area right here. So now let's talk about the shapes of what's in the nose. So I like to draw circles for my nose. So the tip of my nose is usually a bit of a bigger circle. And then I have the nostrils, which are slightly smaller, and they kind of overlap a little bit, like so. So it's like 3 little circles. And again, this is just like a really simplified way to do this. And then what I like to do is I darken the sides of those 2 smaller circles, so it's kind of like little parentheses. And then I need to draw in a kind of a curvy line for the nostrils and the tip of the nose. And what I like about this is I can use these circles to help me. So watch, this is the type of line that I'm going to be drawing. Something like this. See how they're not connecting here? See how they're still separated? So it's going to be something like that, but it's going to be over here. So I place it in that circle, use the bigger circle for the tip of my nose, and then it's something like that. And then I can erase what I don't need. And it looks kind of funky right now because there's just no value on it, but this is just a simplified way to do it. So let's go ahead and bring it down here then. So again, I'm going to have like a larger center circle for the tip of my nose. And then depending on how big I drew it, then my side circles hopefully hit the side of these little lines. So you may have to adjust the size of your circles or that main circle a little bit. And see how they're resting on that line here. They're not below it, they're not way up high. And then what we did next is then I darken my sides of those smaller circles for my little parentheses. And now I'm going to do that funky line, which is like my nostrils, and I come down to the tip. like that. And what I like to do is erase that stuff so it doesn't get as, so it's not as, and then ideally, when we get to like actually shading in the portrait, there will be like value that we'll talk about on the nose, on the side of the nose, that actually like form it and make it into an actual form. But right now it's just lines and it looks a little flat. Okay, so now let's talk about our lips or our mouth. So mark number 2 going down, again, I'm gonna give it a gentle curve. This is gonna be where our mouth is. So again, our nose is about 1 eye wide, whereas our mouth is actually about 2 eyes wide, okay? So again, we're gonna draw guidelines down. So from the middle part of my eye, I'm gonna draw a guideline going down to my mouth line that I just drew. So your face is gonna look a little sad for a while. It's gonna look like it's crying. And then I'm gonna draw a line down from this middle part of my eye, okay? So the bottom part of your bottom lip is gonna rest on this line, okay? So now with our mouth, we don't just wanna draw an oval with a line through the middle. It kind of looks like a hot dog bun. We want to give our lips shape. They're 2 different shapes, right? So the bottom lip, slightly curved, down and then back up. And then like your top lip, it just depends. Some people's lips are pointier or rounder. The top lip can be kind of like this generic stretched out M, something kind of like that. And then I like to put a line in the middle and kind of give it a curve. Usually the bottom lip is a little bit thicker than the top lip, but then again, sometimes it just depends on the person. And there are these circles and ovals happening, but we don't really focus too much on those in the lips. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna start with that bottom curve. It kind of dips down, comes back up. And then the top lip's kind of like a stretched out M. Bring it up just enough. You don't want to bring it up too high or not enough in between that nose and lip area. And then again, I like to put a line in the middle, kind of give it a little bit of a curve. I really don't even like having points over here, but right now that's just what it's going to be. There's my lips, my mouth. Okay. Okay, so we're getting there. So now let's do our chin and kind of shape up our face a little bit better. So this third mark is going to be kind of where your chin area is going to be. So you can kind of like do a short little line like so. And then, so, you know, our face over here seems a little wide, so we need to kind of trim it a little bit. So what we're going to do, I'm going to bring it in a little bit here, a little bit here. So I already have my chin. And so my chin, we're going to use these lines to help us. It's going to like kind of be at a slant, and then once I get to my mouth line, it slants up again. And so there I am at an angle or a diagonal. Maybe I'll bring that in a little bit more. I'm going to bring my chin in more. And then usually it ends up here a little bit smaller. And this is all going to get covered with hair anyways. So you're kind of like trimming it to the side. And if you feel like your chin is a little too long or a little too low, You can always bring it up a little bit. I'm going to bring mine up, maybe to that bottom of that circle. It just kind of depends on where you're at. You're kind of trimming it a little bit, kind of shaping it a little bit. So after you've done that, let's go ahead and put in some eyebrows real quick to make it look a little bit more human. All right, so now let's put in our ears. You can go ahead and erase all this stuff if you want to get all that out of the way. So our ears are going to hang out. They actually start here at our eye, and then they actually kind of go a little bit below your nose. So right now they're just going to be little slivers, just because we barely see them. I might bring this in even more actually in my face. All right, so our ears start a little bit at our eyes, and they come down a little bit below our nose. And then again over here, our eyes. Just kind of little simple shapes for our ears. All right, let's do our neck and then hair, and then we'll be done. So our neck, we're going to kind of bring it down from our mouth line. It's going to be kind of like a slightly curved, gentle curved line. Don't want to make it too long, don't want to make it too short. And then what I like to do is I like to fan out this line and bring down some shoulders. Don't make humps for your shoulders. It's just like a gentle curve. And then what I like to do is you could have it to where it's wearing a shirt. Like maybe it's like a curve, or it could even be a V, whatever you want it to be, but something so it looks like something's happening there rather than nothing. All right, so now let's give it some hair. So your hairline, you know, it's not all the way up here. It's actually between here and here. It's about halfway, okay? So, you know, if you're a boy and you have shorter hair, you may have hair that's doing something like this, and, you know, it's going up. It just kind of depends. Or you may be a boy even, or even a girl that has hair that goes down onto your forehead. So here's like a girl that has longer hair. And if you have longer hair, then you always want to have your hair that like actually touches your neck. You don't want to leave like a big space there. You know, usually when we do this in class, I kind of like actually look at your hair and kind of give you all different examples of what your hair would be, but you're not. So give your person some hair. Boy, girl, whatever, but give it some hair. Don't just leave it bald. Actually do something. And then whenever you're done, you know, obviously you're going to take a picture of this and submit it. But then obviously if you're in class, show it to me so I can, you know, say yay, nay, looks good, just so I can see it like in person. And then you want to go ahead and erase all these little marks, and then the person looks even better. We have all these little marks all over them. All right, so that is our generic face measurements demo.